Hi everyone, this week's Parshat is Parshat Behalotcha. And in this week's Parsha there is so much that goes on. From the menorah to Miriam and Aaron speaking negatively about Moshe, to Vayihi ben so Aaron, where you have these little nuns that bracket off a section of the Torah that we've spoken about in the past. But I wanted to talk about a section in this week's Parsha that doesn't get so much light, no pun intended, with the menorah. And that is the section where Hashem commands Moshe. He tells Moshe to make these 2 silver trumpets. Now I was thinking, what are these 2 silver trumpets used for? So the Torah tells us that they were used to congregate the Jewish people during to travel, which is a question in itself because they had the clouds to tell them when they were supposed to travel. But let's put that aside. And also during wartime, these trumpets were used to also gather the people and get them ready. And I was thinking, what's the deeper meaning? What can we learn from these trumpets? So in Devarim, at the end of the Torah, we see that these trumpets don't get passed down to Yehoshua, the next leader of the Jewish people. They actually belong to Moshe, as it says in this week's Parsha, in the verse, that these trumpets are it says Lecha, that to you, that these, referring to Moshe, that these trumpets that belong to Moshe alone. And you think about it, what did Yehoshua get in replacement for a trumpet, right? What did Yehoshua use to congregate the people to get them ready at times of war? Well, he used a shofar. And I was thinking that it's very symbolic of the Jewish people ourselves, that the generation that lived that traveled through the desert were more like the trumpet, these silver trumpets. In that, how do you make a silver trumpet? You take a heap of metal, of silver, you melt it down and you shape it into something, you shape it into this trumpet. While a shofar is something that occurs naturally. It's a ram's horn, right? Hashem already made it for you. It's all ready to go. And I think as a whole, that's very emblematic of that transition between Moshe and Yehoshua. In Moshe's generation, you had these people who came out of Egypt, this block of metal for this parallel sake, that has to get beat in the desert to shape into something amazing, this instrument, at the time where they're about to enter the land of Israel. And finally, once they enter, now we're like a shofar, we're naturally occurring, we're a real people going into the land. And my bracha for everyone this week is that, we should realize not necessarily that we have it easy, but that we don't have to go through 40 years traveling in the desert to go to Israel. We might necessarily have it easier than our ancestors did in the desert, and that should be something that we're conscious of, that we've gone through that transformation from trumpet to shofar, and that's something we should really think about. And with that, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.